This is episode 15 of The Inside Line on WIS Sports Radio. The Inside Line is the only podcast focused on women's alpine ski racing, coming to you year-round from the World Cup circuit and beyond. The Inside Line is a co-production of Ski Racing Media and WIS Sports. I'm Gabbi Hall, and at WIS Sports, we believe women in sport deserve equal coverage. The World Cup season is over. Can you believe it? We survived! And this podcast is not slowing down. In fact, I am thrilled about this week's episode. In the interest of full disclosure, I'm never anything less than overly excited when we launch an episode, but I am extra excited this time because my guest, Tina Weirather from Liechtenstein, she's so funny. She's cool. I want to be friends with her. She rides a motorcycle. She's the Super G Globe winner and Olympic bronze medalist. And, we've been trying to connect for a while. So now that she's back home, we got something on the calendar. But before we dive into that interview, I want to talk through some of the latest news in women's ski racing. So this is Fresh Tracks. So one of the interesting things that has come up now that it's the end of the season is my ability to dive into what's been popular on Ski Racing's website. What topics are you guys Googling? And I recently realized that one of the most high-trafficked articles on Ski Racing's website is about how much money ski racers make. So apparently everyone is wondering, what kind of salary Mikaela Shiffrin is taking home. And I can't bring you specific details on, her endorsement deals, but we can talk about prize money thanks to FIS. They actually run a public tally on their website, so you can track prize money throughout the season. And so I want to talk to you about how much money the women earned. So the top three earners on the women's alpine skiing World Cup circuit in terms of prize money were Mikaela Shiffrin, Wendy Holdner, and Lindsey Vonn. And Mikaela Shiffrin, the American skier, who you guys are likely all familiar with, was by far the top earner. So I want to break down these numbers for you. So in 2016-17, so last season, she won a total of 597,692 Swiss francs, which is approximately 595,000 US dollars. And she got a huge pay raise this year. I mean, she had an amazing season, even better than last season. So it's not necessarily surprising, but this year she earned $702,774 Swiss francs, which is roughly 738,000 US dollars. And she out-earned seven-time men's World Cup overall title winner Marcel Hirscher by just over 33,000 Swiss francs. So this year, a woman out-earned the men in terms of prize money. Top female out-earned the top man. So I think that's pretty cool. And I think one of the questions that often comes up when I talk about this topic is, are men and women receiving equal prize money? And if you look at the prize money distribution for the season, it's for the most part equal. FIS requires organizing committees to pay a specific amount per race. So there is a minimum amount of prize money for the top 30 athletes. But you'll see across men's and women's, on average, the top skier in a men's race and a women's race is taking home about 45,000 Swiss francs. So it is relatively even across the board in terms of prize money, which is very cool to see. But when I say Mikaela Shiffrin by far out-earned the next most successful female, Wendy Holdner of Switzerland, who, like I said, was the second most successful, second highest earner, took home 273,794 Swiss francs. So a very significant difference just based on Mikaela Shiffrin's success across multiple disciplines this season, particularly considering how many wins she had. And then, like I said, Lindsey Vonn was the third top earner, but I think we all can guess that Lindsey Vonn made quite a bit of money from her endorsement deals because she has sponsors like Under Armour and Rolex. So I don't think we need to worry about her taking home a decent paycheck. So I'm excited that I was able to bring you all that info. And then some of you guys might be thinking about what skis you want to get for next season, considering ski brands. And the other thing that FIS measures is brand success. So if you're in the market for skis, I just wanted to put this on your radar. Head skis were the best in speed on the World Cup circuit, and Rossignol skis were the most successful in the tech events for both men and women, actually. But Head and Rossignol were the top two brands this season. Now, I know we haven't talked about injuries in a while, so I'm bummed to have to do this, but there was a knee injury at the Austrian National Championships. Stephanie Brunner, a top World Cup tech skier, she tore her ACL and meniscus in her left knee. She underwent surgery almost immediately. And I actually saw on Instagram that she's already back in the gym. So, she's already fighting to get back for next season. But, she's an up-and-coming skier. She wrapped up the World Cup season ranked 6th in the giant slalom standings. She had top 10 World Cup finishes in GS, slalom, Super G, and alpine combined this season. So definitely an overall threat moving forward. So let's all keep our fingers crossed that she has a speedy recovery. In more exciting news, I also need to give a shout out to Ski Racing Media's Female Junior of the Year, Trisha Mangan. This is an annual award that our publication has given to a top junior ski racer in the U.S. Since 1975. And everyone from Michaela Schifrin to Sarah Schlepper to Tamara McKinney has won this award. And so we awarded that to Trisha Mangan at U.S. Nationals this last week. She scored her first World Cup points this season in the Alpine combined in Lenzerheide, Switzerland. She ended the season ranked 10th in the Longines Rising Star Cup standings, which is for junior athletes on the World Cup. And she also made her Olympic debut this year. So definitely well-deserving of the award. Congratulations, Trisha. I can't wait to see what you do next season. And on the note of national championships, there are national titles being handed out left and right around the globe. Norwegians, Austrians, Italians, everyone is having their national championships right now. And I can't list all the winners because I think that would make for a very boring podcast of me just listing a bunch of names. That said, we are covering all those nationals on skiracing.com, and I will put links to the stories in the show notes. I do want to give a shout out to the U.S. national champions, though, since I am a U.S.-based reporter. Nina O'Brien and AJ Hurt dominated the U.S. nationals in Sun Valley. So Nina O'Brien won the titles in Super G and slalom, and then AJ Hurt won the titles in alpine combined and giant slalom. Both are young, up-and-coming athletes that have started making World Cup appearances. So keep an eye out for them. I think they're going to be doing a lot in the future. Congratulations, ladies, on your national titles. And like I said, visit skiracing.com, guys. I'll put some links below the podcast if you're curious about who's taking home national titles in some of these other countries. So now that we've made it through fresh tracks, we're going to move into what I think is probably the most exciting part of this podcast, the mixed zone. I'm happy to have Tina Weirather on this week from Liechtenstein. So without further ado, here is our interview. Well, Tina, thank you so much for being on the show. I really appreciate you signing on. What are you up to now that the World Cup season is over?
Thanks for having me. I'm at home right now. It's been a while since I've been here, so it's really nice to be here and see my friends again and unpack everything, even though I'm still traveling for the next couple of weeks, but I'll be, at least in between, I'll be at home.
Nice. So are you racing at all this season after the World Cup, or are you just going to be doing some training and traveling?
No, I'm not racing. So luckily for me, I don't have nationals to do. There's only, I think, a slalom, and that's already been, I think, in February. So I'm off the hook and I can just focus on recovering and also doing ski testing and training, and then I'll go on holidays.
Ooh, nice. Where are you going?
I'm going to La Réunion and Mauritius.
Ooh, sounds nice.
Yes.
Have you been able to break out your motorcycle yet?
I did start it, but then I wasn't driving because it's still like 2 degrees outside, so it's really
a little cold.
But I just wanted to see if it still starts.
Well, I'm sure, like myself, like I said, it's snowing in Boston, so I'm looking forward to spring. I'm ready for it to get warm again.
Yeah, me too now.
So I do want to talk a little bit about your season, and I want to start with, even last summer, because last summer you switched ski companies, and you brought on a new coach, and, from the from the outside, from my perspective, that seems like a lot of change coming into an Olympic year. And I'm curious, did all of that change end up working the way you wanted it to? Do you think it was a good idea to make all of that change heading into the season?
Yeah, well, I agree. It was really risky. And I also I took quite some time to think everything through. I mean, with the coach, I didn't have a choice then to look for a new one because mine was going to Switzerland to be a men's head coach. And so I started right away to look for someone, and then luckily found Charlie and decided that pretty quickly because I was just sure from the first moment. And then with head, I tested and I felt really good, but I also felt good on my old skis. So I was for sure torn. But then day by day, I felt like maybe there's more room for me to attack even more because the stuff was a little more forgiving and smoother somehow. So I felt like I'm probably as fast now, but if I'm able to do that, 3-4% more on race day, then that would be the big change and the couple hundreds that I need to win races, because I was really close to winning races, but just never quite there. So I wanted to do that one more step, and I felt like maybe that's the opportunity. And so I took it, even though it was a lot of work. I was on skis in May, in June, and then again from August on. And of course, I mean, with 3 disciplines, it's almost impossible to get everything right in the first summer. And I also had troubles in GS this year. I mean, it's not just because of the skis. I was struggling with the GS in the season before already. I think it's just really hard to perform at the highest level in 3 different disciplines. GS was for sure always the weakest one of those. And so I guess, yeah, that was the price I had to pay, but I'm still super, super happy, for how the season went, how I feel on the skis and also with my team. I feel like I have the best setup now that I ever had. And that's really cool because otherwise you're always adjusting and searching for something. And now I feel like I have it and I can just, focus on the fast skiing and not anything else.
Right. Now you don't have to worry about any external changes. All you have to think about is your skiing and how to get faster.
Exactly.
And so, looking back at this whole season, it was a great season for you, obviously, but what was the highlight? What is your favorite moment looking back on the season?
Winning the Globe, for sure. Also the Olympic medal. That was really special because I knew from previous big events like World Championships and Olympic Games that everything needs to be on point. And of course, everyone knows that, but it's still shocking how much also luck you need, because on the World Cup, you have, I would say, about 30 or maybe even 40% of the races where you just don't have the luck on your side. So you can do a good result, but maybe not win that race on that day. And then at the Olympics, I just realized it's so crazy. Like you get you get a little bit of wind or something and the game is over and you can try again in 4 years. So I was just super happy that it worked out. It was a really, really close in Super G and the downhill. So I'm for sure lucky to walk away with the medal.
And so let's talk about a little bit about that Olympic race, because I think it was surprising, obviously, to a lot of people when Esther Ledeska came down and won the race. And I'm curious, when she came down, it was bib 26. What was going through your mind when you saw that she had the green light when she came through the finish?
Well, honestly, I was a bit prepared for it because I was actually on the phone with my mom, and I was always looking at the flags because it was a really windy day. We had to delay the whole schedule for an hour because the lift was not running because it was too windy. And I was always looking at the flags, and they were always going uphill. And then I was on the phone with my mom, and it was like bib 24, 25. And then the flag started to move down, and I'm like, Mom, I have to hang up. I think something's gonna happen now. And that's exactly what happened. But I don't want to uh, take away that from Esther or something. She skied amazing. It's just on that day you needed the full package of great skiing, great skis, like fast skis, and also a bit of luck with the conditions. And therefore, I was for sure sitting on the hot seat until the last bib came down.
Yeah, the wind was definitely really challenging there. And I love that you brought up talking to your mom on the phone, because I wanted to ask about your relationships in terms of your skiing career, because I think everyone is pretty aware of your family's success in ski racing, and it's a question you answer a lot. But I mean, how involved is your mom in your ski racing career?
I'm sure it's surprisingly less for an outstanding person. I've never really liked it. I was a bad teenager, I guess. Like when I was a teenager, I told my mom I want to do it my way, and I asked her for advice, but that she should, let me do my thing. And that's how I always did it. And now that I'm kind of old, I mean, skiing wise, as an
Right,
athlete,
relatively.
yes, I get back to her more and more. I mean, I would say in the last 2 years, I started to ask her, and I also enjoy when she's coming to the races. She's still not like on the hill with me and telling me how to ski, but it's still nice. Like before the Olympics, I asked her, so Mom, what did you do when you won the 3 medals at the same Olympics? And then she was a little bit like, she couldn't even tell because, I mean, it's a long time ago, and also she had to think about it first. And then she wrote me some notes that I took with me to Pyeongchang, and I just read them day by day. Like I opened one every single day. Mm-hmm. And so I had all of them opened until the speed races, and it was stuff that I knew from very early on because that's what she taught me from when I was a kid. Like focus on yourself and just basic things. But it still helps you in that moment because the Olympics are so crazy. Everyone is nervous and everything is so overwhelming that it's sometimes nice to take a step back and focus on the basics again, because that's when you feel like, okay, I can do that. And so the whole situation is not as overwhelming anymore.
Right. And I imagine it's also like nice to have that little taste of home, because South Korea was so far from home.
Yes, it's very different to home. I mean, I always enjoy being somewhere else where the food is different, the people are different, the climate, the snow feels different. I enjoy that. But at the same time, of course, it's together with all the pressure and the media and the team, everyone's being nervous. It was for sure some kind of anchor.
Definitely. And, I was reading your Facebook post from yesterday, and you were reflecting on the season, and you mentioned that when you were a younger athlete, you were very independent, and sort of what you were saying about your mom, you didn't like to ask for help. You wanted to do things your own way. But it seems like now you have this solid team around you. And I'm curious, what changed for you? What drove you to go from being ultra independent to really relying on the people around you?
Well, my thoughts when I was younger was that coaches are going to change, my techs are going to change, my physiotherapist, everything around me is going to change sooner or later. And that's also what happened. I mean, I had several coaches and changed equipment and everything. So the people around me always changed. So I was afraid to be dependent on someone. And if that person is leaving, then I don't know what to do. So I wanted to not rely on anyone and like teach myself the whole process. So I'm going to be independent. But then I realized that it's pretty lonely, it's you win a race and you're not as thankful as you could be if you really work together. And that was kind of sad because I won races and I wasn't as happy as I thought I would be. And then I thought about that, and especially now the team is so amazing. I trust everyone so much that it really feels like a team victory every time I win a race, and that makes it so much better.
And you have your immediate team and your coach and things like that, but you also train with the Swiss team. Is it nice to have that sort of additional family of the Swiss athletes around you?
Yes, of course. I mean, I'm a total team person. Like I don't like being alone all the time. So in the training, it's really nice because you push each other. You do the dry land together. It's always fun when you're sitting at the table and eat together. And also you just have friends around to talk to, and you just stand together. Even though it's a single sport, but we do, except those 1 minute of racing, we do everything together. And that's really cool to have those people.
Absolutely. And so you're going to be starting training now, basically for next season. You're kicking off dry land. I saw you were in the gym today. And now that you've won an Olympic medal, you have 2 Super G Globes. What is your next big goal? What milestone are you hoping to hit next season?
Well, I want to be even more consistent, and I feel like I have somewhat more in the tank in downhill still. I was third in the downhill World Cup this year, but I feel like I could do even better if I focused more on it. Because the GS is not going that well. So my goal is to train all the disciplines as I did in the past few years. But then also at some point make a decision and really prioritize my events. So that the races I do, I can win, I don't want to just do all the races and then be medium everywhere. I want to focus on my strength and really do well there.
And so kind of along those lines, I mean, there's no Olympics next year, obviously, but there is a World Championships in Orre. And you just actually raced on that hill at finals. And I'm curious what you think of that venue and if you think it suits you.
Yeah, I love it there. I actually participated in the last World Champs already. I was 17 years old. And and it was really cool. I mean, it was tough because it was over minus 20 degrees every day. So the snow was super aggressive, and I've never skied anything like that until then. So that was a new experience for me. And I think you have to be prepared for that if it's as cold again. It's going to be extreme conditions that you probably have to change your setup because it's pretty unusual. So I just want to get ready for, whatever comes up there. The World Champs are a really big goal for me, but also the World Cup. I mean, it was the same this year. Of course, the highlight is that one race, but you can't just focus on one race. You need more.
Right, because there's so much luck involved with that, one
yes, and you
1
just
minute
put
race.
too much pressure on yourself if you only think about that all year long. So I feel like if you just focus on the next race all the time, then that's a really good strategy.
Right. Always be looking ahead to work towards what's next.
Yes.
Makes a lot of sense. Okay, well, cool. So I've asked all of my serious questions, but I would love to ask you some like quick questions about yourself so people get to know you a little better if you're up for it.
Okay.
Okay. So let's start with I noticed that you like to watch Netflix and things. So I'm curious, what's your favorite TV show to binge watch?
Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Brooklyn Nine-Nine. All right. And when you're
well,
traveling,
it changes all the time.
Oh, okay. So let's say Brooklyn Nine-Nine, and do you have any others that you've watched recently that you recommend?
Well, there's a ton. But now from the top of the head, of course not. Hold on. What did I watch? I watched Riverdale, but I didn't like it so much. And before that, I watched... Oh my God, I don't remember. Please, next question.
We'll go to the next question.
Okay.
Okay, so what is one thing that you can't travel without? One thing you always have with you?
Oh, there's lots of things. I carry 3 bags usually. But what I really can't is my phone and my headphones and my liners.
Those are always important.
If I go skiing, yeah.
Definitely. Okay, so for the people who have never been to Liechtenstein before, what is one thing people should do if they visited the country?
They should go to Malbun. It's our ski area. It's also really nice in the summertime. It's like a mountain village. You drive through a tunnel and then you enter a whole new world. Like it's often that even the weather is totally different out here than in Malbun. So it's really nice.
Okay, love it. And then my last question is, do you have any secret talents that people don't know about?
Cooking? No, I don't know. I'm not very good. I just like doing it. And I cook all summer for myself and sometimes some people. Yeah, but no, that's not a talent, I would say.
Do you have a favorite dish you like to cook, like a favorite food that you like to make?
I make a lot of vegetables and sweet potatoes I like.
Ooh, I'm a big fan of sweet potatoes. Those are great. All right. I'll stop pestering with you with questions. We can catch up more on those later, maybe next winter. But thank you, Tina, so much for being on the show. I really appreciate you taking the time as you're kind of getting into the off season.
Thank you so much.
Thanks again, Tina, for being on the show. You guys, Tina is one of the most interesting women on the World Cup circuit, I think. After the interview, we were chatting and she talked a little bit how much she doesn't like football or soccer for the North Americans out there. And I think that's kind of interesting because she is European and most of them seem very into soccer the way the North Americans are into, football as we know it. And then, it's interesting to me that while she's very competitive on the ski circuit, she actually doesn't like face-to-face competition. She's told me this before, but she played tennis as a kid and she really struggled and didn't like competing face-to-face with someone. She likes to just compete with the hill, run her race, and then have the results play out as they will. But she doesn't like the head-to-head competition of tennis. But she is a huge Roger Federer fan. She got to meet him at World Championships last year, and that was a big moment for her. So we learned a lot about Tina. She's great. I hope you guys keep following her because I think she's going to continue to be on the rise and do a lot of big things on the World Cup circuit next season. Before I sign off, I do want to bring one more thing to your attention. Wisp Sports, which, as you know, co-produces this show with Ski Racing Media, is running a Patreon campaign, it's sort of like a Kickstarter campaign for media producers. And Wisp is doing a lot to draw more attention to women's sports, not just ski racing, but also sports like rugby, rowing, sailing, cycling, and more. I'll put a link to the campaign in the show notes, and I hope you go check out the campaign, watch the video on the page, and become a supporter so we can continue promoting women in sport, including continue doing this podcast. As always, if you guys are loving this podcast, please, please, please leave a 5-star review of Wisp Sports Radio on iTunes. I also welcome any ideas for guests or issues you'd like to see discussed on this podcast. I'm on Twitter and Instagram. My handle is Hall_Gabbi. I really look forward to hearing from you, and I appreciate the people who have already reached out. More episodes of The Inside Line can be found at wispsports.com, skiracing.com, and on any podcast player. Just search for Wisp Sports Radio. Wisp Sports Radio is the world's largest network of podcasts for women's sport. For more conversations from the world of women's sport, visit us at wispsports.com and follow along on social media at Wisp Sports and at Ski Racing Media. I'll be back in 2 weeks' time with another episode of The Inside Line.